Born in 1934 North Yorkshire and rising to fame for her illustrious work in film and television,
Pow! For goodness sake.
Dame Judi Dench's career spans a whopping 63 years where, through her acting chops, she's garnered 4 BAFTAs, 7 Oliviers, 2 Golden Globes and a Tony, to name a few.
I feel for 8 minutes on the screen, I should only get a little bit of him.
However, in this video, we're going to take a brief look at the theatre origins that allowed Judi to rise to such prominence. From Macbeth to Cabaret, Dench has tread the boards and then tread them again.
Oh, what beautiful things you say. Oh.
I don't know where this has come from.
It's no surprise that Judi ended up in acting, considering her family background. Her mother was a wardrobe mistress, her father was a GP for York Theatre, her brother Jeff studied acting. Initially, she thought she would study set designing, but after watching her brother study at the Central School of Speech and Drama, she decided that she wanted to give it a shot. So she set down her paintbrush and picked up a script. She followed her brother's footsteps and not only graduated from Central, but took 4 awards for acting with her, including the Gold Medal for Outstanding Student. In September 1957, Dench acquired her first professional role as Ophelia in Shakespeare's Hamlet to quite the negative reception, where even Richard Findlater stated it was a debacle.
I got cast as Ophelia straight out of drama school. Very, very lucky, but quite hard. Not easy going after that. But it was, you know, it was a good, it was a baptism of fire.
In an interview, she went on stage crying after suffering from a nasty case of the flu, and she claimed that when I came off, John Neville, who was playing Hamlet, came up and really shook me and said, "Never do that again. The audience comes to see Shakespeare's Hamlet and you're privileged to be playing Ophelia. Don't think they come to see you with the flu or in tears because one of your family has died, or because you've got a headache, or that you can't be bothered." I thought at the time that was a very harsh thing to do. I realise now it was one of the most extraordinary and marvellous discipline lessons. In 1960, she notably played Juliet in Zeffirelli's Old Vic production of Romeo and Juliet, to initially a negative press.
Get him out! Get him out! Get him out! Get him out!
But she summoned up the lessons learnt before her and applied it to this production, turning it from something quite sour into a positive reception. Her turnaround was noted, and she became a founder member of Peter Hall's Royal Shakespeare Company in 1961.
Has the interest on the mortgage been paid off?
Over the next 5 years, she played an assortment of roles ranging from Lady Macbeth in a West African tour to Titania in a 1962 Peter Hall production.
For lack of tread, are indistinguishable.
It was in 1964 that Judi began to really branch into television in an adaptation of Parade's End. She had, however, been no stranger to the television, starring in a production such as the 1959 Hilda Lessways. In the same year, she made her cinema debut in The Third Secret, but remarked later in 1973 that she didn't quite like acting in film very much.
I went up about a film once, before I'd ever made a film, and I went into a room and there were 5 big men there. They offered me a seat and nobody said anything. And this man looked at me for a long time, and then he took a cigar out of his mouth and he said, "Miss Dench, you have every single thing wrong with your face." And I got up and I walked out of the room.
Skipping a few theatre and TV roles and a BAFTA award, we get to 1968, where Judi makes a bold leap with a cigarette holder into musical theatre with Cabaret.
You can tell my papa, that's all right, 'cause he comes in here every night. But don't tell Mama what you saw.
A story regarding her audition remarks that she sang her audition in the wings of the theatre as she was so petrified at the thought of having to sing. Often thought of as wonderful, she did, however, initially receive bad reviews for her portrayal of Sally Bowles.
Isn't it rich?
John Kander, the composer, stated, "And Judi Dench, who was without question the best Sally Bowles I've ever seen in my life, got bad reviews." Stubbing out her cigarette in the early 70s, Judi returned back to Shakespeare and Webster.
Should Saubert here I were licentious,
and that this body consecrate to thee by ruffian lust.
Where she played roles ranging from the Duchess in The Duchess of Malfi to Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing. Then, in 1976, Judi starred alongside Sir Ian McKellen in a much acclaimed and stand-up performance as Lady Macbeth,
Cruelty?
catapulting her from an actress of high regard to one even higher, with some notable reviews such as Michael Billington stating, "If this is not great acting, I don't know what is."
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail.
And the Lady magazine wrote, "It will astonish me if the performance is matched by any in this actress's generation." She finished her 5-year bout of work with the RSC from 1975 to 1980, where she played roles such as Lady Macbeth, Adriana in The Comedy of Errors, Regan in King Lear, and Imogen in Cymbeline. However, thereafter she had a bit of a dry spell when it came to theatrical endeavours. It would all but seem that the BBC had snatched her up for their televised performances.
I forgot to put anything on underneath.
Show me.
In 1981, she was originally cast to go back into musical theatre as Grisabella the Glamour Cat. She had to pull out due to a torn Achilles tendon, but don't worry, she got her cats fixed later in her career. In 1987, she would play Cleopatra at the National Theatre. Stanley Wells, a Shakespearean professor and honorary president of Shakespeare's birthplace, wrote,
And perhaps the greatest of her roles was Cleopatra. She didn't expect to play that role in her earlier days. And when she was asked to do it, apparently she said, what are you doing, casting me a menopausal dwarf as Cleopatra? But she made an absolute triumph of it.
No matter her age or the role, it would seem that her negative press was most certainly behind her.
What was I thinking? Dame Judi Dench wouldn't shoplift. You're a national treasure.
Exactly. And because I'm a national treasure, I could get away with anything. But of course I don't. Oh, what's that over there? Oh, my mistake.
Thereafter, Judi's career between theatre, television and film was equally mixed after notably playing M in James Bond,
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
Queen Victoria and Mrs. Brown. There was a demand to see Judi on the big screen.
Am I wrong?
However, stepping back into musical theatre again in 1995 by playing Desiree Armfelt in Sometimes a Little Night Music.
I see a woman I have loved for many years, who entranced me all over again when I came to her rooms.
With the song Send in the Clowns becoming somewhat of a theme in her recent musical performances. Judi reprised her role as Titania in 2010 at the Rose with more clothes on than she offered in the 60s, and finally she played Paulina in a 2015 production of The Winter's Tale. As I said before, this is just a few of her performances because honestly, this woman didn't and hasn't taken a break since 1957.
To go! Think very carefully, madam. Be aware of the consequences.
In 2020, following the closure of theatres, Judi made an outcry surrounding that if the theatres remain closed, that she will lose her opportunity to potentially say farewell to the craft of which she has dedicated her life to.
The pandemic passes, that it's all going to go back to normal. Well, it will maybe for some people, it certainly won't for all of us in a theatre.
And whilst we hope that that will not be the case, we have to remark that this woman has had an absolutely sensational career on the stage, and we can't wait to see what she has next in store for us. Thank you guys for watching my channel. This is a brand new series where I'm going to be discussing the theatre careers of certain celebrities within 9 minutes. So if you liked the content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you very shortly. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.